Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Embrace the Madness. This is your host, Madeline. And yeah, if you've never tuned into this podcast, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. We just talk about being a human, and sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's fun, but all in all, it's a great journey. And let's see, what did we talk about last week? Duality and that kind of conundrum, and how weird it is to make sense of two very weird different ideas. Well, not necessarily weird, but I'm trying to adjust my vocabulary. Two very different ideas that may not make sense. Like, how can peace exist, but also war exist, and kind of understanding the push and pull relationship of different things on the spectrum, and kind of how it all comes together to create this idea of wholeness. And yeah, it's super good, super heady. If you like good heady stuff, then check it out. And this week, I wanted to get into kind of, I guess, where my brain's been at, and just, I guess, I've been looking at things in a cyclical nature recently, I guess, as of this year, and trying to follow the cycles. And so it's becoming winter, and we're going through this kind of transformation from fall, and it's already flipping December, and I can't believe it, but here we are. And so I think winter is kind of, if you just think about the seasons, moving in from this transformation, we're kind of letting go of things, beginning, how animals start hibernating, and things are kind of shedding their leaves and conserving energy to take this big kind of rest period. And so I don't think humans are really any different. And so I've kind of been going through that. I'm sure with the way this year has been going, that you've been experiencing some stuff like that too. So I'm kind of, I guess, trying to make sense of where I'm at and what it all means. And I mean, it might not mean anything, but in my life, I like to associate meaning. And anyway, if you've been listening, I guess at least the last couple months, you've probably noticed going through a rough patch, weird feelings and emotions. And I've literally, I think I used the reference or the analogy of going through a paper shredder, and just that visceral idea of just literally being transformed to the core, and everything that you thought you knew is going in the trash, and you're these tiny little strips of paper. And that's how I've been feeling. But for the first time in a very long time, I'm feeling different, and feeling like I feel like I'm not going through a paper shredder. And so I'm trying to be really mindful and observant, and definitely grateful, because I don't know, this whole year has just been all sorts of fucked up. And I toggle back and forth between like, what the hell, and oh, so many good things happen. And it's like, that's another aspect of duality that's been, I guess, boggling my brain too. Just like, how the heck do I make sense of this year that's been all over the place, and in some ways fun, in some ways horrible. And yeah, so just trying to reflect on anything and whatever that means. And so I'm finally feeling like I'm coming out of a chrysalis. And if you've studied or learned about like how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, you know that the caterpillar's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in this form." And then he goes and makes a little cocoon and goes and hides forever. And then when the spring comes, he like comes out of his chrysalis, is beautiful. It might be a she, I'm not sure. And comes out and is this beautiful, beautiful butterfly. And you're kind of just like, whoa, what the heck just happened? You did not look like that before. And here we are. So thankfully, I kind of feel like I've been going through the ringer and I'm coming out feeling a little bit transformed and feeling like there's a little bit more clarity. And it's kind of like, I guess I would imagine, like when you go through that transformation and you're still kind of trying to get your bearings and you're just looking around, hmm, kind of looking through new glasses or new lenses, I guess. So I just wanted to, I guess, yeah, share my journey and my experience because that's how I relate on this podcast. But I can only imagine that I'm not the only person that is experiencing this. And I feel like it's not like a once in a lifetime thing either. I think we go through different transformations, through different things. And you know how they say, uh, they, there's like a metaphor usually, oh yeah, there's got to be rain before the flowers, or Mayflowers spring, wait, April showers, spring Mayflowers, maybe something like that. But I believe that challenges help test us and force ourselves to look in the mirror, ask questions, and figure out new ways to solve these problems. And so I feel like this is a process that happens several, probably millions of times throughout our life. And I think it's just kind of like a smaller scale of evolution and change. And so I think it's really easy to get lost when it gets dark. And I think this year has been very dark. And I think, at least for me, it's been hard to remember that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And when you just like keep going through it and keep dealing with shit and over and over and over, you kind of get burnt out and you get emotionally exhausted. And you're just like, can we please stop? Can we just fucking stop? And of course, the universe is like, no, we're not done yet. And just sit down, buckle your seatbelt, and enjoy the ride. So, yeah, I just wanted to share these feelings. And if you are feeling weird and fucked up and lost and confused, then you're not alone. And it was really hard to remind myself that over these past couple of months. Because when you're in it, it's like you just can't see anything except what you're going through in that moment. And when it's really dark and scary, you don't feel like you have a way out. And that's scary too, feeling like you're stuck and feeling like this is going to last forever and this is permanent and you're never going to get out of it. And so I'm just here to remind you and to be the light for you that if you're feeling that way, you're not alone and you're going to make it out of whatever you're going through too. And I think probably one of the yuckier parts of it is just like there's no timeline and you kind of just have to let go and let God drive, I guess. Because I think the more I was like, okay, well, I'm done with this. It's like, no. I don't think we are aware of the journey and the timeline. So, yeah. To keep using metaphors, I feel like 2020 has just been like you're driving in a car at night and you're just like, I don't think we're going the right way. Can you please like check the map, check the ways, and make sure? And I don't think we have like the consciousness to understand what this year is bringing, but I think it's been, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before, and my friends and I have talked about it, but just this year seems like one that is just the theme is surrender. And I think that is a big lesson that I've learned for sure in going through these dark times is just I don't have any control at this point, and that's frustrating. Very, 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 very frustrating. But I wanted to talk about some of the signs, I guess, for you to kind of like, I guess, like guideposts. And because it feels like you're gonna die, and it feels like you're going through a paper shredder, and it feels like the worst thing you've ever experienced. But being confused, feeling lost, feeling like you have no idea, like you absolutely have no idea. I feel like a lot of my answers were I don't know. And that's okay. Feeling really lonely, feeling disconnected, feeling lost, feeling like you lost track of your purpose, your path, your journey, feeling like everything's like feeling like you've lost everything, feeling like you are super out of control, even feeling depressed. I think that having experienced depression a lot, I feel like it seems like the worst, but I always have to remember, at least in my world, that I make sense of things. I feel like depression is kind of our soul and our spirit just feeling lost. And I think that it's kind of just, and if you've experienced too, it's just this constant cloudiness and like thunderstorm, and it's like you're just always in this thunderstorm and you don't know when it's going to stop and you don't know how to make it stop. And yeah, but I feel like it's kind of not necessary, but I feel like there's a deeper significance behind it. I feel like it's like a message, like what's happening right now or the way things are going isn't exactly aligned with what you truly want. And I think it's kind of like a message saying, hey, let's figure out what you want to do and let's do it and find this innate joy that exists, because it does exist. It's just a little dark right now. But going back to the signs, feeling like you're in a constant state of what the fuck. I think that has literally been the freaking mood all year. And yeah, when you feel really scared, when you are anxious, I can't tell you how much, I guess, how many days of the month over the last like year or half a year that anxiety's just been my primary emotion. And I think that's really important to remember, because when you are having anxiety, you feel so disconnected and you feel so alone, and everybody experiences it. And if you don't, I think that's good and I'm happy for you, but I think it's a lot more common than people let on. And I think that's something that I had to realize too, is I'm not immune from it. And just because I do these things and seem like I know what I'm doing and have an idea of what I'm doing, yeah, it doesn't mean I'm immune. And I think it just means that you're human. And I think that anxiety is just kind of this, I'm trying to like think of how to explain it, and I'm just like moving my hands like a friction. Like I think this toggling between like spiritual being and human is, it's completely two separate things. And when we're like in this human life and we're so consumed and we're so just like lost in the sauce, we forget like who we truly are and what we're truly made of and meant to do. And I think this anxiety is like this kind of friction thing that's like, this doesn't make sense. And I don't know if I'm making sense, but also that's okay. Because I don't think it makes sense a lot of the time, but that's okay, fish. And I think it's important to remember that all of these things are normal. And if you are experiencing any of these emotional side effects or signs and you're like, hey, I'm confused and I'm lost and I'm afraid too, I think it's something to celebrate. Like, you are going through this transformative phase, and I know it's not fun. And I'm like thinking of what me like a month ago would be like, shut up. But I think what's really helped me to stay grounded is to remember that we're a part of nature and nature operates in cycles. And just like the caterpillar going to the butterfly, we too sometimes go through periods of darkness and transformation. And you know what? Cycles are, I mean, they're cyclical, but a phase isn't permanent. So things are changing. And so it's not going to be dark forever, and you're going to end up coming out on the other side. And that's not to say you're not going to experience darkness later in your life, but at least you're going to get a break soon. And I think another cool metaphor too is thinking about seeds being planted in the ground, and imagine what it would be like to be a seed or like in the soil, in the dark, in the moistness. I just had to say it cuz I know nobody likes that word, and if you do, I think you're just fucking with people. But yeah, the seeds go in the soil, and if you've ever gardened or planted things and you're like, when is this going to bloom? It takes a long time and it's a process. And a lot of things have to happen behind the scenes, under the surface, that we don't understand or see. But that doesn't mean that things aren't happening. And I think that's been a big kind of revelation for me too, is like I'm going through these challenges and these hardships, and they are teaching me about myself and teaching me about the world. And even though it's hard to see when you're in the fucking shit, you're learning and you're growing, and you're not going to be the same person that you were when before this started. And it's just like how the day goes to night. It's the sun's going to come out again until I guess billions of years when the sun burns out. But for now, we can rest knowing that the sun's going to come back out. And I think when you're in that dark place, that's like the only thing that you can hold on to. Just knowing that this is temporary and there's going to be a day where you don't feel like that. And to have hope and to trust that like you're on your journey and you are going to come out of it. And I think the thing too is we feel like we have to figure it all out and we have to know exactly what step we're going to take. And I've learned that that is not the case and we're not going to know. And I think it's important that we just trust that it's going to happen and not worry too much about how. And like for me, it's been helpful to just remind myself, just take the next best step. Because when you are kind of like when you have tunnel vision, you can't really see much past, like, I don't know, 2 feet in front of you. And sometimes all you have to do is take little baby steps. I think, again, you're not going to know what exactly needs to happen for you to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. But for now, all you know is to keep moving forward. And even if that means tiny little baby steps, but knowing that like you will get there, you will. And remember, we're probably not going to be aware of the timeline, and that's hella frustrating. And we can talk all day about that. But just like how nature has its cycles, you're going to come out of it. And there's going to be a day when you're out of the thunderstorm. And you might be cold and you might be wet right now. But in some weird way, there's a reason that you are going through this so that you can come out stronger on the other side. And It doesn't make sense. And this is like what I wish I would have known a couple months ago. But I think I had to learn kind of how to get knocked on my feet, off my feet, whatever, and figure out how to pick up the pieces on my own, by myself. I mean, I have a humongous support system and a lovely boyfriend, but when you are in this, like, that's the point. You have to figure out how to do it on your own, and that's what I think our whole lives are about, is figuring out how to reconnect with ourselves and build that trust and that strength and take care of ourselves and create what it is that we want to be. And we have to know what it's like to fall so that we can know how to get back up. So, just remember, it's not going to last forever, and you're going to come out on the other side shiny and brand new and with beautiful, beautiful butterfly wings. So, I hope that that was somewhat helpful, and I'm super stoked. Thanks for listening. I wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody on my Patreon. I'm so grateful for you. I'm waiting for the December postcards, and then I'm gonna mail them out. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then log on to patreon.com/embrace the madness, and you'll see we do a postcard every month and we do bonus episodes. So if you like, the good heady stuff, then there's more good heady stuff on the Patreon. And if you really love it, then I've also got some guided recorded meditations, and I'm trying to figure out new cool things that I can do to build you up, Buttercup. So I appreciate everyone who is on so far, and I can't wait to figure out where 21 where 2021 takes us. And I'm super excited, and I love you guys, and I'll catch you next week. This is Madeline with Embrace the Madness. Bye. If you'd like access to more podcasts and a postcard each month, check us out on patreon.com/embrace the madness.